It's my favorite segment of the week. It is the Commanders Report Mailbag, where I answer your questions on the Burgundy and Gold for the week. Before we get into the questions today, I'll implore you guys to click that subscribe button, join the most interactive Commanders fan community anywhere on YouTube. We have live watch parties for every single Commanders game. We also go live every single Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, where we film these mailbags, by the way, and we give you guys breaking news coverage every time the Commanders make a big move. So if you guys want extensive, in-depth, informative Commanders content every single day, and you want to join the most interactive community of Commanders fans anywhere on YouTube with over 40,000 Commanders fans already subscribed, click that subscribe button right now. Got our first question of the day, comes from Caesar Holmes, LLC. Says, who will be the next OC once Kingsbury has another strong season? I don't see Kingsbury here after next year. Listen, man, I agree. I think that Kingsbury will probably get a head coaching job somewhere else after hopefully 2 straight seasons of success here in Washington. And it really does depend on the coaching cycle and which coaching staffs get stripped and, who gets fired and all this different stuff. I will say 2 names that come to mind right away. Brian Daboll of the New York Giants. I think he would love to coach Jayden Daniels. I mean, if you guys watched the Hard Knocks, the offseason Hard Knocks for the New York Giants last offseason, Daboll was caught on camera saying that he would have traded up and he wanted to trade up for Jayden Daniels. So, I think he would love to coach him here. He might go back to Buffalo. We'll see what ends up happening if he gets fired in New York. But another name to watch out for is Mike McDaniel, all right, the current head coach of the Miami Dolphins, who is an offensive mastermind, all right? All the pre-snap motions and all the interesting things he does for Tua there in Miami. I think he elevates Tua to a place where, frankly, in any other offense he would not reach, at least from a production standpoint. And seeing Mike McDaniel's offense matched with Jayden Daniels, it might even be better than what Kliff Kingsbury is doing here in Washington, all right? Like, that would be very intriguing to me. Those are just 2 names that come at the top of my head here. Obviously, it depends on which coaching staffs are, get fired, which college coaches look good, who has connections to Dan Quinn. I'm sure we'll talk about this more once we get towards the end of the 2025 season. Then we got ZX here, says, you have been saying that you think that Adam Peters is not done yet this offseason. What big move or moves do you think he will make? I think that obviously the Terry McLaurin extension is probably the one that's going to be the biggest one. But there's still a potential trade on the table for Trey Hendrickson. We'll see how that situation with the Bengals plays out. But I think out of all the guys that are quote unquote holding out right now in the NFL, that's the one that I could actually see maybe, concluding in a trade at some point. And if that happens, I think the Commanders will be in that mix of teams that will be very much in on a Trey Hendrickson trade. But they might also just sign another edge rusher, right? There's still multiple veteran pass rushers still available. Von Miller, Zadarius Smith, Jadeveon Clowney. If they're just kind of holding out for Trey Hendrickson and then, they're fine, signing one of these veterans late in the offseason, that could be a big move that ends up happening here. We still don't have official word on Noah Brown. I'm pretty sure, John Keim did say that he expects it to not be serious and Noah's going to be okay. But, if he has a significant injury that we're not aware of right now, they could maybe add another receiver. We'll see what ends up happening here. I do kind of think that there's going to be at least one more big move that happens for the Commanders this offseason. Guess we're just going to have to wait and see what that is. Got one from James Faison. Says, can we pay Scary Terry already? Enough with the nonsense. He is our guy. Obviously these negotiations are, kind of tricky. And I think Terry knows he has a lot of leverage with the team because, if you take him out of this offense, I think you can make a very good argument. This is not a Super Bowl caliber team without Terry McLaurin as your number 1 receiver. All right, and I think he knows that, which is why he may be asking for an enormous amount of money, like Justin Jefferson level money, where he's asking for like $35, $36 million per season, and I don't think that the Commanders would want to pay that. Now, maybe he's asking for 33, which is what DK Metcalf got this year, and the Commanders want to give him 30, maybe because he's approaching the age of 30. They don't want to give him too many guarantees past this season, and that's the sticking point. Who really knows what the sticking point is between these two sides? But obviously they're not coming together on a deal just yet. And I do expect it to get done, but it's probably going to get done closer to the deadline, which is the start of training camp. So play GM for me down there in the comments section. How much money would you be willing to pay Scary Terry McLaurin per season on his next contract? How high are you willing to go? $30 million per season? $33 million per season? $35 million per season? How high are you willing to go for Scary Terry? Let me know down there in the comment section for today's pinned question. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds, and when that happens, take advantage of that time. But let me know, how many dollars per season would you be willing to pay Scary Terry? Got one from Jayden. Says, do you think Kain Medrano could be a bandit safety / linebacker because of his elite coverage skills? I think that, maybe down the line, yeah. The reason why they're getting a lot of these kind of like smaller linebackers / bigger safety type of players is because it's an important role in Dan Quinn's defense, man. Like Jaron Kearse played this role fantastically in Dallas. Jeremy Chin played this role pretty darn well last year here in Washington. And now they're trying to find that next piece because Will Harris I don't think is big enough to play that true bandit safety role. He's only he's slightly over 200 pounds, where I think you got to be at least like 220 to effectively play the bandit role. So Jordan McGee, I think, is the guy that they're hoping is going to be able to take that next step this year, and then maybe Medrano can step into that role if McGee eventually fails. Dominique Hampton's another guy that's kind of fits this mold as well. Athletic as hell, kind of ball hawk type of player. So we'll see how this whole situation kind of sorts itself out. But Kain Medrano, obviously they like his physical skill set. We'll see what ends up happening with him in the months and years to come here in Washington. Got one from JG. Says, Noah Ibginoghene seems to be highly regarded as a depth guy. But his PFF rank is pretty low. What is it about his game that the Commanders like? He's scrappy, and I'll give him credit for that. All right, the players in the locker room love him. He tries. Okay, like that's what I will say. Some guys are terrible, and you can just tell on film that they're not really giving it their best effort. Noah Ibginoghene is out there, and he's giving 100% of himself on film every single week, every single play. And that's the type of shit that Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. eat up, man. They love players like that. All right. And, obviously he wasn't fantastic. He's never been fantastic in this league. But the reason why he keeps making NFL teams and why he continues to get opportunities is because, he really tries to max out everything that he does on the field. And he does do that. And I do think that he's limited, severely limited. But, as somebody that does have some experience in this defense and has some chemistry with the guys in the group, I think, as a depth slot corner, which is what he is at this point in his NFL journey and on this team, I think you could do worse than Noah Ibginoghene. So make sure you guys check out our friends at Fanatics if you haven't already. If you guys want a Deebo Samuel jersey in your closet and you want to help out the channel, you can kill two birds with one stone right now by using our special link that I have put down in the comments and description of today's show, chatsports.com/Deebo. You click that link and you make a purchase. Fanatics sends us part of the proceeds so that, we can pay our rent, to keep the lights on, pay for new graphics, to maintain, how our channel looks, all that different stuff. It takes money to do those things, guys, and we give you guys free content, so any contribution is greatly appreciated. Plus, in this scenario, you guys get a Deebo Samuel jersey. So go chatsports.com/Deebo if you want to get one today. Helps out the channel, helps you out because you get a Deebo jersey. It's all good things, so make a purchase today if you want a Deebo jersey. Okay, now let's get to Caesar Holmes. Again, another question from Caesar. It says, if Jayden continues to improve, who deserves the most credit? Well, I think it's a group effort. What's the saying? It takes a village to raise a child. I think it takes a village to raise a quarterback. Now, obviously, Jayden deserves a lot of credit because he's the one putting in the work. He's the one that's actually playing out there. Certainly his family deserves some credit. Certainly Kliff Kingsbury deserves some credit for putting him in the right position. Pritchard, the quarterback coach here in Washington, deserves some credit for making him, getting him prepared every single week. But I would say probably the person that deserves the most credit is Jayden Daniels. All right, like he's the one putting in the work. He's the one that's taking care of his body. He's the one that's doing all the VR shit, to get him prepared for the games every single week. Like Jayden has absolutely transformed himself over the last several years, going from his last season at LSU to his first season here in Washington, and now I think he's going to take even another step here in year two. So I think that Jayden probably deserves the most credit, but there's certainly a lot of people out there that deserve a portion of that credit as well. Got another one from Jayden. It says, if Laremy Tunsil goes down, Would you move Connerly to the left side and move Wiley back to right tackle? This would suck, right? And I think everyone acknowledges this because Laremy Tunsil's awesome when he's on the field and he's healthy. He's maybe the best pass-protecting left tackle in all of football. It's why the Commanders traded as much as they did to get him. Connerly very recently played left tackle at Oregon as well, so you could certainly go that route. And obviously the Commanders have guys on the interior that they trust as backups, Nick Allegretti, Nate Herbig, who they brought in free agency, so that's certainly a way you could go. Another way that you could go is you could keep Connerly at right tackle, put Brandon Coleman back at left tackle, and then put Nick Allegretti, who started for this team at left guard, back at left guard. In that scenario, it'd be interesting to see what this team does in that scenario, Jayden, but there's a couple different ways that you could probably approach it. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. What is your confidence level in the Commanders' offensive line this year? Put it on a scale of 1. We're going to make it more simple here. 1 to 10. All right, 1 to 100, maybe a little bit too much there. 1 to 10. What's your confidence level in Washington's offensive line? I think it's got to be the highest it's been in years. I got to say at least a 7, maybe even an 8, especially when Sam Cosmi comes back from injury. I have a high level of confidence in this offensive line this year. If you're with me on that, let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. And thank you guys so much for getting your questions in today and this week. I'm going to get to more questions next week on the Commanders Report live show, so make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. And until next time, guys, go raise some hail.